The truth is, I'm pretty gutted, actually. I think, like millions of people up and down the country, Patrick, because we've been misled, we've been deceived, we've been lied to by this Conservative government that election after election promised to bring the immigration numbers down, which is what the majority of the British people want, and the Brexit referendum itself. As you know, speaking to people where you are now in Boston, it was about taking back control of our laws, money and borders. And they promised that they would bring the numbers down, and instead they have imposed deliberately a policy of open borders with a worker visa system and student visa system that's hugely open to abuse. And guess what? The numbers have almost trebled in the space of 2 or 3 years to 606,000. It's half of Birmingham. Half of Birmingham has arrived in the United Kingdom in just 12 months, Patrick. And here's the thing no one's yet talking about. In 2020, that was in 2022. In 2023, it'll be the same or more. So within 2 years, you've got a whole Birmingham arriving in the UK. And what that means is our housing becomes ever more unaffordable for young people. It's harder to see a GP. It's harder to get an operation. So waiting lists grow. And the fact is, we've been misled. We've been lied to. No one will ever trust.
Richard, I'm going to cut across you now because I've just got to ask you this, all right? I've just got to ask you this, Richard, OK? So I'm speaking to a lot of people here, and what they're scratching their heads to try to understand is, really, why on earth this is still happening. They're sick of broken promises from the Conservative government, been in power now for 13 years. There is a fundamental lack of trust, and this is just anecdotal from people I'm talking to here, about what the Labour Party are going to bring forward. I will be speaking to a Labour MP later on in the show, though, to get their take on this. What are Reform offering that's different? Because, Richard, I've got to be honest with you, you might be quite pleased with this. Your name is on a lot of lips here in Boston.
But what we're offering is the only net zero the country wants is net zero immigration, so that the number of people that we welcome to come and work and study in the UK equals the number who are leaving the UK. We've got plenty of people here. We've got to get our own people skilled, trained and back into work. We've got 1 in 8 on out-of-work benefits that's costing us all a vast sum of money, so we need net zero immigration. And Reform UK, Patrick, is the only party that stands for that, and I think is the only party that people will trust to actually deliver it.
One thing, Richard, that stands out like a sore thumb here is the number of recruitment shops. There's 4 in Boston, if not the biggest area at all. And when you look in the windows of these shops, it advertises the kind of jobs that are on offer. Now, big agricultural sector around here in Boston, a lot of fruit pickers, a lot of agricultural land, a lot of farms. And what they're advertising for things like £11 to £14 an hour are people to come and help out with manual labour there. But all of the signs in all of those windows have got the flags of the countries of the people who they have translated in-house in there, a lot of Eastern European countries in there. Would Reform UK, or indeed should this Conservative government, be trying to bring into force something where British businesses have to try to recruit British workers first?
There's no question that British businesses, big businesses, have an obligation, as was always the case, to try and to skill up and to pay fair wages for a fair day's work from British people. What's happened is big business has recognised when we were in the EU that they could import huge numbers of cheap, low-skilled, overseas labour, and therefore they didn't need to train up British people. Here's the thing, though, Patrick. If you can't find the labour, then you invest in capital equipment to replace the labour. That's how the combine harvester arrived. It's as simple as that. So if they can't find the people to pick the fruit, they'll invest in new equipment, new technology, to pick the fruit by machines. That's what should happen. It shouldn't be an excuse just to import hundreds of thousands of cheap labour.